One more shot.
If you have young people in your group, keep them in your sight at all times and have them walk about the vessel, not run.
Intersection of creativity and commerce, New York City is more than ever the symbol of America. Millions of urban dwellers have their roots here, while thousands of others come from around the world to seek a better life and realize their dreams. Immigrants and visitors, dreamers and seekers, all come knocking on the door of this amazing city. The Statue of Liberty rises on Liberty Island in New York Harbor between New York and New Jersey. The island, located at the mouth of the Hudson River, was settled first by indigenous peoples, then the Dutch, English, and finally the Americans. The story of the Statue of Liberty is a story of change. The people of France gave the statue to the people of the United States over 100 years ago in recognition of a friendship established during the American Revolution. Over the years, the significance of the statue has evolved until it has become an international icon of freedom and liberty, the most recognizable symbol of democracy in the world. The Statue of Liberty is more than just an enduring symbol of New York City. It has come to symbolize America itself. First opened in 1892, Ellis Island became the nation's premier federal immigration station. For many immigrants to the New World, the American adventure began with a ferry that brought them and many others to this island to be registered. In operation until 1954, the station processed more than 12 million immigrant steamship passengers over the years. Millions of Americans can trace their ancestry to Ellis Island. The facility initially bore little resemblance to the French Renaissance structure that people have come to know today. Originally made out of Georgia pine, the complex caught fire in 1897 and burned to the ground. The current building was opened in 1900. Abandoned for 30 years, the main building was later restored and opened as a museum in 1990. Despite the island's reputation as an island of tears, the vast majority of immigrants were treated courteously and respectfully, and were free to begin their new lives in America after only a few short hours on Ellis Island. Only 2% of the arriving immigrants were refused entry. The two main reasons why an immigrant would be turned away were if you were diagnosed with a contagious disease that would endanger the public health, or if a legal inspector deemed the immigrant was likely to become a public charge or an illegal contract laborer. This 100,000 square foot museum occupying the 3 floors of the main building includes objects, photographs, prints, videos, interactive displays, and oral histories related to immigration. Each year, a select number of Ellis Island immigrants or their descendants are chosen to be honored. By presenting a copy of the original ship's passenger manifest documenting their or their ancestors' arrival at Ellis Island, the Commission reflects on their journey, courage, and determination, and honors the unique contribution they have made to this nation of immigrants. Battery Park extends over 8 hectares of green space on the southern tip of Manhattan Island. Its lawns are dotted with monuments, including one to the memory of settlers, the Coast Guard, and the Icon of Hope. This damaged work was a sculpture called the Sphere by the artist Fritz Koenig and once stood at the World Trade Center. Found among the rubble after their terrorist attacks, it was then moved here. An eternal flame was added in remembrance of all those who died on September 11, 2001. A succession of small shops, stalls, craftsmen, and artists have made the park a peaceful haven. Castle Garden, situated inside the park, became the world's first immigrant depot. Decades before Ellis Island was established, or the Statue of Liberty gazed down upon incoming boats, millions of newcomers arrived at Battery Park from Europe and elsewhere. For more than 200 years, Battery Park has been a central part of New York City's history. Its beautiful waterfront and flower gardens make it a lovely place for a stroll. With its wealth of memories and monuments, the tiny area at the tip of the island of Manhattan has played an enormous role in the history of both the city and the nation. New York City has been an urban center for 300 years and has long stood at the crossroads of architectural innovation and creativity. Checking out the city's most popular styles provides a unique perspective on the city's past, present, and future. The South Street Seaport is a historic area in the New York City borough of Manhattan, located where Fulton Street meets the East River, adjacent to the financial district. This area is one of the first major settlements in what is now the United States of America, and eventually became one of the world's busiest seaports. The remnants of the original South Street Seaport can be seen to this day on Manhattan. After being more or less abandoned for several decades, the South Street Seaport now has a new touristic vocation. Over 100 shops and restaurants can be found in the restored buildings, located Today, the South Street Seaport celebrates America's swashbuckling maritime heritage with its magnificent tall sailing ships and the bustle of its thriving seaport. The Suspension Bridge of Brooklyn, with its 2 granite blocks in the neo-Gothic style, is considered by many to be one of the greatest works of architecture in New York. It was the first bridge to cross the East River and connect the boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn. More than 125 years after completion, the Brooklyn Bridge still functions as a vital route for New Yorkers who commute over it every day to work. Surrounded mostly by water, the city's residential density and high real estate values in the commercial districts led to the largest collection of individual freestanding office and residential towers in the world. The form of construction most closely associated with New York City is, of course, the skyscraper. The first half of the 20th century saw New York buildings shift in form, from the low-rise European tradition to the vertical rise of the business districts. It is fascinating to trace the evolution of its styles, from the eclectic classicism of the turn of the century, the romantic Art Deco of the 20s and 30s, the sleek glass forms of the post-war era, to postmodern historicism. Constructed over 300 years, these buildings represent the changing tastes of the city's residents, from colonial times to the present. to the top of the Empire State Building offers a glimpse of the beauty of the city and its river. The richness of architectural styles, the density of buildings, together with the variety of its colors intensified by the sunlight, make this city and its urban dynamics unique in the world. By the turn of the 20th century, New York became, without doubt, the preeminent American city and represented the new metropolis. The great waves of European immigrants coming to New York, the consolidation of the boroughs into one vast city, the development of urban infrastructure, and the incredible construction boom of the subsequent 30 years all contributed to the city's rise in prominence. Located on a large natural harbor on the Atlantic coast of the northeastern United States, the city consists of 5 boroughs: the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island. One of the greatest ways to experience New York City is from the water, and New York's many boat tours offer a unique perspective on the urban area. In the first third of the 20th century, Lower Manhattan was transformed into New York City's, and thus the world's most famous skyline. The vital importance of this district comes from the development of the financial activities which took place here, with the buildings lining Wall Street climbing as the city played an increasingly central role in American finance. The presence of the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street, plus the headquarters of the major international banks, make it the center of American, if not world, finance. The New York Stock Exchange is a good example of the classically inspired architecture that defines much of Wall Street's style. The building clearly imitates a classical temple, its large columns supporting the ornate pediment, a common feature of Greek and Roman architecture. The New York Stock Exchange, founded in 1792, has become the center of world finance. A wealth and variety of natural resources made New York one of America's wealthiest states. This, together with its unrivaled facilities for transport, led to a phenomenal growth in manufacturing and industry, allowing the city to make tremendous strides in industry and commerce. A walk through the dense canyon at Manhattan's southern tip is the best way to discover the birthplace of the New York skyscraper, together with the enormous technological, social, and economic forces that produce these icons of the 20th century. Federal Hall is in some sense the birthplace of American government. Today, the building serves as a museum and memorial to our first president and the beginnings of the United States of America. The New York Stock Exchange and the surrounding financial district have become an integral part of the American identity. Associated with both the best and worst of the American experiment, it symbolizes American laissez-faire capitalism and the supremacy of open markets. The George Gustav Hayes Center of the National Museum of the American Indian at the historic Alexander Hamilton U.S. Custom House in Lower Manhattan serves as the National Museum of the American Indians exhibition and education facility in New York City. Permanent and temporary exhibitions explore the diversity of the native people of the Americas and the strength and continuity of their cultures from prehistory to the present. It contains a wealth of architectural styles, from modest row houses to ornate churches to soaring skyscrapers. Prominently located at the terminus of Wall Street on land granted to the congregation by the British Crown, the Trinity Church has served as an urban landmark since the 19th century. The current Trinity Church was built by an English cabinet maker who immigrated to the United States and became a leader of the American Gothic Revival. New York's architectural mix creates a unique atmosphere. In the decades just before and after the First World War, a group of architects, homeowners, and developers pioneered innovative and affordable housing alternatives. They converted the dilapidated and bleak row houses of New York's older neighborhoods into modern and stylish dwellings. New York City comprises the 5 boroughs and is divided into 59 community districts. Throughout the boroughs, there are hundreds of distinct neighborhoods, many with a definable history and character all their own. If the boroughs were independent cities, each would rank among the 50 most populous cities in the United States. Once the sprawling home of much of New York City's Italian population, Little Italy has become more of a tourist destination than a residential neighborhood in recent years, and now occupies little more than a few blocks of Mulberry Street in Lower Manhattan. Generations of Italian Americans made their homes in this neighborhood for over a century. Walking beside the narrow cobblestone streets of Little Italy beneath the fire escapes of turn-of-the-century tenements, tourists are tempted by the sights, sounds, and smells of Italian cuisine and culture emanating from the restaurants and shops lining the streets.
E chi lo cantava, e chi lo suonava, e chi lo cantava, e chi lo suonava, e chi lo cantava, caro Natalino eri tu.
York City's Chinatown, a tightly packed yet sprawling neighborhood which continues to grow rapidly, is the largest Chinatown in the United States and the site of the largest concentration of Chinese in the Western Hemisphere. This colorful and vibrant area of the city is both a tourist attraction and the home of the majority of Chinese New Yorkers. Chinatown offers visitor and resident alike hundreds of restaurants, booming fruit and fish markets, and shops full of knickknacks and sweets on narrow and overcrowded streets. Leaving the formal grid structure that dominates the city north of 14th Street and wandering the streets of Greenwich Village creates the impression of having escaped the metropolis for the charms of a small European city. In the popular imagination, New York City's Greenwich Village has long been known as a center of bohemianism, home to avant-garde artists, political radicals, and other nonconformists who challenged the reigning orthodoxies of their time. Yet a century ago, the village was a much different kind of place. A mixed-class, multi-ethnic neighborhood teeming with the energy and social tensions of a rapidly changing America. While the neighborhood lies in the heart of Lower Manhattan, visitors will notice a difference in the layouts of the streets in the village compared with the rest of Manhattan. The reason is that when the streets were designed, the neighborhood was not yet part of New York City, and therefore was not subject to the regulations that forced the rest of the city to be laid out in a grid pattern. While most of the streets in the rest of Manhattan are identified by numbers or letters, many of Greenwich Village's streets are named. Greenwich Village offers a great respite from the urban chaos with its calmer, more manageable feel, and its lower buildings allow more sunshine to reach the streets. wander through the village transports even the most jaded traveler, revealing the many layers of its rich history and varied lifestyles. Enjoy a stroll through New York's beloved landmark district with its gracious architecture, residential tree-lined streets, hidden muse, and enticing ethnic cuisine. New York City is known around the world for its houses and loft apartments, including the world's largest collection of historic cast-iron architecture dating from the mid-19th century. Washington Square Park, located in the heart of Greenwich Village, is a very popular and crowded square. Famous for its arch inspired by Roman triumphal arches honoring George Washington, the man for whom the park is named, and its fountain, which predates the arch by 43 years and is a popular meeting spot, Washington Square Park offers a colorful slice of New York life. With the addition of bocce courts, game tables, and playgrounds, the park has become an internationally known meeting ground for students, local residents, tourists, chess players, and performers. As soon as night falls, New York lights up, completely transforming its appearance. The city emits an amazing atmosphere and energy, and to walk through its streets at night is to live its unique intensity and encounter any number of surprises. Late 1990s, Times Square had once again become a symbol of Manhattan's vitality. The only zone in the city where tenants are required to display big, bright signs. It is located at Broadway and 7th Avenue and extends from West 42nd Street to West 47th Street. Shuffling down Broadway through the crush of tourists gaping into TV studios and craning their necks for a glimpse of the latest giant billboard, it's hard to remember that this gaudy enclave was once home to sex shops and the highest crime rate in New York City. While Times Square has changed drastically in the past decade, a reputation for razzle-dazzle and spectacle attached itself to the area from its very inception. Formerly Longacre Square, Times Square entered the nation's consciousness in 1904, when it was renamed after the New York Times building that became the cornerstone of the new district. Just a few short years before, the crossroads of Broadway and 7th Avenue was considered a dangerous place where only those of ill repute would venture. The Great White Way is a phrase known worldwide used to describe Broadway's profusion of theaters in Times Square. Rocky but always glamorous, Broadway and its theaters have an inseparable relationship stretching back over 100 years. Times Square became the premier theater district in the United States during the First World War, a time when films were becoming a big part of popular culture. With the rise of movies, many theaters were opened around the city, and especially in the square, leading to the creation of the Times Square we know today. New York's Fifth Avenue is best known as an unrivaled shopping street. Just about every upscale retailer has a prestigious store located on this street. Soaring above elegant Fifth Avenue, the Empire State Building became the city's second tallest building after the World Trade Center was destroyed. The building has a classical composition with a 5-story base, a large tower with setbacks, and a monumental spire. The limestone facade has little or no ornamentation. What makes the design so great is that for all its simplicity and sheer bulk, it has a perfect composition and mass, giving the building its unique grandeur. The Art Deco movement influenced every form of the aesthetic arts, including architecture, interior design, fashion, painting, and the graphic arts. The Art Deco style exemplified elegance and glamour, its sleek yet functional aesthetic seen as quintessentially modern. Visitors can go up to the observation decks on the 86th and 102nd floors. On a clear day, they can see over 130 kilometers from the lower deck. "100 years ago in this section of Midtown, Fifth Avenue was a street lined with elegant and sumptuous residences. Only a few traces of that past have survived in the modern-day city. Rockefeller Center, known as a city in the city, is an exceptional example of civic planning. All the buildings share a common design style, Art Deco, and are connected to each other via an underground concourse, the catacombs. The complex is nevertheless well integrated into the city of New York, especially along Fifth Avenue. One of the largest cathedrals in the world, St. Patrick is an oasis of tranquility in the heart of Midtown. The site of religious celebration for a great perspective on the steady stream of pedestrians. its architectural style defies classification. Inspired by the Cathedral of Cologne, Germany, its design is nevertheless eclectic, incorporating elements of various other European styles. Reborn as Grand Central Station, the reconfigured depot's most prominent feature is undoubtedly its enormous train shed. Constructed of glass and steel, the 30-meter wide by 200-meter long structure rivals the Eiffel Tower and London's Crystal Palace for primacy as the most dramatic engineering achievement of the 19th century. The multi-level complex of Grand Central Terminal should be explored in order to see how the train tracks were designed to accommodate both local and out-of-state trains, together with subway and pedestrian access, while allowing street traffic to continue to move up and down Park Avenue. This remarkable building has undergone a recent renovation in order to restore its original grandeur. Grand Central has become an international example of a successful urban project that has given new life to an historic building that otherwise would have been abandoned and demolished. Art and architecture have combined to form a very interesting and exquisite destination. Manhattan's James Farley Post Office, built in 1912, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Designed by the famous architectural firm McKim, Mead & White in the Beaux-Arts style, its facade bears the inscription, "Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds." Heading towards Central Park, visitors arrive at Columbus Circle, a landmark in Midtown Manhattan, located on the western corner of Central Park. In one way or another, you'll always end up at Columbus Circle.
Here's a little story I got to tell. Paradise of paradox as I'm raising hell into the groove move.
The Time Warner Center, Lincoln Center, and the New York headquarters of CNN are all located on Columbus Circle.
To an intimate, infinite, worldwide, I connect like internet.
Postmodern architecture in New York arose as a reaction to the strict and almost universal modernism of the mid-20th century. The postmodernist style reintroduced elements from historical building styles, although usually without their high level of detail. Common features include columns, pyramids, arches, obelisks, unusual or attention-getting shapes and roof lines, and combinations of stone and glass on the facade. Postmodernism ranges from conservative imitations of classical architecture to flamboyant and playfully outrageous designs. As the style became mainstream, many buildings with a modern form assimilated postmodern elements into minor parts of their designs. The famous Trump International Hotel and Tower, with a sculpture shaped like a globe of steel, stands on Columbus Circle.
Ain't nothing to it. One more shot.
Central Park plays an essential role in the everyday lives of New Yorkers by providing 341 hectares of paths, lakes, and open spaces for escaping the din and chaos of the surrounding city. Visitors to New York City are often impressed with Central Park's beauty and size, which make it a wonderful place to enjoy a bit of relaxation and get a better sense of what it's like to live in New York City. Around 1849, a group of wealthy New Yorkers who admired the public grounds of London and Paris were led by merchant Robert Minturn to begin advocating for the first landscape public park in the United States. They believed such a park in New York would give the city an international reputation, as well as offer their families an attractive setting for carriage rides. Central Park is a sports enthusiast's paradise, offering everything from baseball to croquet, rowboating to basketball. This is the place to enjoy the great outdoors, get fit, and just relax. More than 20 million visitors come to Central Park each year. Central Park stretches out over a vast swath in the heart of Manhattan, surrounding visitors with historic sights, open fields, and stunning natural scenery. The lake is the second largest of the 9 man-made bodies of water in Central Park. Park designers created the lake from a former swamp to be used for boating in the summer and ice skating in the winter. It took 20 years and 20,000 workers to build the park. Workers sculpted the rock with explosives, planted 4 to 5 million trees and over 800 varieties of plants, drained swamps, and dug the lakes. Among the historic sights of the park, Ladies' Pavilion, with its gray slate roof and charming cast iron details, is an important example of 19th century American decorative arts. A visit to the Ladies' Pavilion gives a visitor a sense of stepping back in time. In the spring, the area around Herd's Head is famous for its blooming flowers. Another attraction of the park is Belvedere Castle. Perched on Vista Rock, the second highest natural elevation in the park, it is perhaps the most magical monument in Central Park. One that combines function, form, and romance, all in one convenient central location. Belvedere provides the best and highest views of the park and its cityscape, as befits a monument whose name translates to beautiful view in Italian. Besides offering breathtaking views, the castle also serves as a weather station. In fact, whenever you see a local news broadcast that gives the temperature in Central Park, the readings are taken at Belvedere Castle. It also serves as a Henry Luce Nature Observatory. The sculpture collection in New York City's parks constitutes the greatest outdoor public art museum in the United States. Some 1,200 monuments, 300 of which are sculptures, grace our most prominent civic spaces, as well as the many localities that together constitute the greater metropolis. Another curiosity in the park is the obelisk. Nicknamed Cleopatra's Needle, it is the oldest man-made object in Central Park. With 4 rectangular sides covered with hieroglyphic inscriptions, the obelisk is designed to lead the viewer's eyes toward the sky. Tall and straight, it tapers off into a 4-sided pyramid. Transferring the granite monument from Egypt to New York was an arduous and delicate process. Many of New York City's major monuments and attractions are America's iconic landmarks: the Statue of Liberty on Ellis Island, the Empire State Building, the Brooklyn Bridge, and Central Park. Every borough offers points of interest and places to explore. Paris has its lights, Rome its crooked alleys, London its misty Thames, but nowhere is as breathlessly romantic as New York City.